Donald Trump just lifted sanctions on Syria, a country long known for torture, war crimes, and ties to terrorism. At nearly the same time, he is set to receive a multi-million-dollar private jet from a Saudi prince. Coincidence? Maybe. But let's take a closer look at what just happened. Because this isn't foreign policy, it's foreign favors. Syria has been under U.S. sanctions for decades, first designated a state sponsor of terrorism in 1979. The country's regime was accused of supporting Hezbollah, Hamas, and more. But it got worse. After 2011, Bashar al-Assad's brutal crackdown on pro-democracy protesters led to the death of hundreds of thousands, chemical weapons, torture prisons, entire cities bombed to the ground. In response, the U.S. passed laws like the Caesar-Syria Civilian Protection Act, named after a military defector who smuggled out images of tortured bodies. The sanctions weren't just economic. They were moral. They were a message to the world. War crimes won't be rewarded. So why did Trump suddenly decide to lift all sanctions? His reasoning? The war is over. Assad is gone, and Syria deserves a fresh start. But here's the twist. The man now leading Syria is Ahmed al-Sharaa, better known to intelligence officials as Abu Muhammad al-Jolani, a former leader of an al-Qaeda affiliate in Syria. Al-Sharaa claims he's reformed. He ditched the beard, started wearing suits, and says he supports religious diversity now. But critics, including within U.S. intelligence, aren't buying it. Is this a new leader, or just a new label for the same danger? Here's where things start to smell like jet fuel. Just days before lifting sanctions, Trump announced that Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman had gifted him a luxurious private plane as part of what Trump called a gesture of deep friendship. Reports suggest the aircraft is worth tens of millions of dollars. At the same time, Trump announced a $142 billion defense deal with Saudi Arabia. And voila, Syria, a close ally of both Saudi Arabia and Russia, gets all its U.S. sanctions dropped. You don't need to be a political scientist to ask the question, was this diplomacy? Or was it a deal? So let's do the math. The Syrian people, still living in rubble. War criminals, off the hook. American families, getting nothing but another taxpayer-funded arms deal. Meanwhile, U.S. companies are being invited into Syria for rebuilding projects and energy extraction, with rumors that some of those companies may have ties to Trump allies. This wasn't a peace deal, it was a business opportunity. And Syria, a former enemy, just got its financial chains removed without a single war crime conviction. Trump's foreign policy is starting to look less like strategy and more like a loyalty rewards program. Strongman leaders? Check. Lavish gifts? Check. Human rights? Optional. He criticized Obama for being weak on Syria. He blasted Biden for being too diplomatic. And now he's shaking hands with a guy who once ran al-Qaeda's operations in the region. This isn't about peace, it's about power. And the price might just be America's credibility. When American policy can be swayed by luxury jets and personal deals, the rest of the world notices. What message are we sending when former terrorists get a clean slate and war crimes get swept under the red carpet? Is this how democracy dies? Not with a bang, but with a Boeing. If you think America shouldn't trade justice for jets, hit that like button. Subscribe for more deep dives into politics, power, and what it means to live in this version of democracy. And remember, the innocent often pays the price of silence. Speak up, stay loud, and stay informed.